Now, most people who have been conditioned and hypnotized into the rules of three-dimensional reality, they're waiting for the experience to happen to feel the emotion of the experience, to take away their lack or separation, like whatever it's abundance, it's love, it's healing, whatever it is. We've been refining this and studying it so much in the last couple of years that the amount of coherence that we see in some of our student community is so incredibly organized, and not only organized.
Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel. I'm your host, Steve Doherty. Well, I have some very exciting news. The two winners of Dr. Joe Dispenza's week-long workshop in Sunshine Coast, Australia, from March 20th to March 26th have been chosen, and I will announce the two winners at the end of this video. Stay tuned. In this audio clip, a woman named Kelly asked Dr. Joe Dispenza to talk about his work. If you are familiar with his work, most of this may not be new to you, but perhaps there will be some nugget of information that may be helpful. What I always like to do is not just discuss the information, but talk about the how to do it better, or talk about where most of us struggle and what we can do about it instead, so that we can gain the most benefit. Dr. Joe is going to say that we are living in an illusion of a three-dimensional reality, and that it's a hologram. We are fooled by our senses to believe in separation, to not see that everything is connected through energy. From a bit more of a spiritual perspective, what he's saying is that from the non-physical dimension of reality, where there is no time-space reality, and since that is where we came from, then compared to that, our earth and world is a hologram where we have chosen to play. Our created three-dimensional reality has its own rules about time and space that we all agree to. And if we want something in this reality, we must traverse through time and space to get it. Also in our reality, when we want something, typically we have been programmed by society to think that we can't be happy until we have it. But if you choose to look at life from the quantum field of fifth dimensional reality, you then realize that the way creation works is that you must create the feeling of what you want first, before you can have it. This is why it's so important to imagine and feel that you already have what you want. So Dr. Joe will talk about how if you create from the quantum field instead of from three-dimensional reality, then we could change the hologram in three-dimensional reality. In other words, we could more easily manifest what we want more quickly and easily. Let's listen to Dr. Joe explain how it works, and then we'll discuss the problem that most of us have and how to overcome it. And then I'll announce the two winners.
I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's begin.
I love the phrase you use in HEAL. You call it the quantum model of causing an effect, and changing energy rather than matter changing matter, which takes a lot of effort. Can you just kind of give us the Reader's Digest version of that, the crux of your work?
Wow, I love that we're starting here, because it's a good place to start. I mean, if you think about the illusion of three-dimensional reality and this hologram that we're fooled into our senses, into this concept of separation. There's me here and there's you there, and there's distance in space, and there's objects and there's things, and this three-dimensional reality causes us to go from one point of awareness, I'm here, to another point of awareness, say the front door, and we have to move through space, and when we move through space, it takes time, right? So anything that we want in our lives takes time and energy. You got to go to work, and you got to do all the things, and then you got to save money, and then you go buy the thing, and that's the rules of three-dimensional reality. The plane of demonstration means you got to do something, right? So then there's me here, and then my dreams are way, way out there, and I estimate how long it's going to take for me to arrive at those dreams, because we're playing by the rules of three-dimensional reality, and when we play by those rules, for the most part, I'm going to wait for the experience to occur in order to have the experience produce an emotion, and the emotion is the chemical feedback as a result of the event. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. That's the game in three-dimensional world. If you're going to shorten the distance between cause and effect, between the thought of something and the experience of something, you got to go to a different set of rules, and you have to create from the quantum field. Now, the quantum field is an invisible field of energy that exists beyond this space and time. Now, this takes a little bit of imagination, because if we don't have any space between us, then we're connected. There's no separation, and there's no time. So now, when you go to the realm of the quantum, the rules change, because in the quantum, things are connected. Energy connects things together. So then, if you are able to create from the field instead of from matter, and it's not matter that's emitting a field, it's the field that's actually creating matter. If we could change information in the field, we could change the hologram in three-dimensional reality. And it turns out you only need two things to do that. A super coherent brain, super organized coherent brain, and coherence is a rhythm or an order. So when the brain is coherent, it has a directive. It's an electrical charge. It's the signal we send out into the field. We're broadcasting information with our thoughts. Now, most people who have been conditioned and hypnotized into the rules of three-dimensional reality, they're waiting for the experience to happen to feel the emotion of the experience, to take away their lack or separation. Like whatever it's abundance, it's love, it's healing, whatever it is. But in the quantum model, you have to combine that clear intention with an elevated emotion, and that takes heart coherence. So we've done extensive studies in training our community to begin to feel the emotion of the event before it happens. And people say, well, I don't know how it would feel because I haven't experienced it. Well, the answer is really simple. If you felt gratitude, or you felt appreciation, or a love for life, or a joy for existence, and you combine that clear intention with an elevated emotion, the heart produces a magnetic field, and that magnetic field expands out and it transcends the rules of space and time. When you feel whole, when you feel this elevated emotion, you feel connected, you feel bonded. And so when you feel the emotion of your future, you're connecting to the energy of the future. And your body is so objective. It does not know the difference between the real life experience that's creating that emotion and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. The body's actually believing it's living in that future reality in the present moment. So if the thought sends the signal out and the feeling draws the event back, and you have brain and heart coherence, you got a really powerful Wi-Fi signal. And when you begin to do this properly, you no longer have to go anywhere to get anything. In other words, you're not living by the rules of cause and effect. You're living by the rules of causing an effect. You're producing an outcome. Now, here's the cool part. If there's a vibrational match between your energy and you've really refined that signal, and you can synchronize your energy, you start having synchronicities in your life, and you start getting universal signs coming to you. You have opportunities, you have synchronicities, serendipities, coincidences, and you're not going anywhere to get it. They're coming to you. Now, think about this. If you're connected to an invisible field of energy, that's the source of everything physical and material. If you were connected to the source, why would you go anywhere? You wouldn't do that. You would say, come to me, right? So by doing this properly, and causing an effect, when you see feedback in your life as the result of what you're doing, you're going to pay attention to what you did and you're going to do it again. Now, the cool part is that once you feel the excitement, the inspiration, the joy, the love for life, that's actually reinforcing the feeling that you've created with. And if you create again, you refine the signal a bit more, you get more synchronicities, more opportunities. And the cool part about our community is that they're not saying, oh God, I have to go create my life. They're not saying that. They actually don't want to stop doing it because they don't want the magic to end. They don't want those cool quantum events that are occurring in their life to stop. So it's not like I have to. They're changing their energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. And I've been at this long enough to tell you that nobody changes until they change their energy. And so when you experiment with this as a process and you learn a particular formula, and we've been refining this and studying it so much in the last couple of years, that the amount of coherence that we see in some of our student community is so incredibly organized. And not only organized, but the amount of energy in the brain, the amount of energy in the heart is higher amplitude. So now bigger signal, bigger Wi-Fi signal, more connection. And so then if you can shorten the distance between cause and effect, between the thought of what you want and the experience of what you want, then you would start to master your life. And then you would start to see, wow, I could actually, if I could do this, what could I do next? And I'm happy to say that people are doing it pretty well.
And it's, if you think about it, anyone who's listening, if that sounds out there, or, we do it every day in the negative. People are constantly stressing out, worrying, and anxiety, highly anxious, picturing a future event that they don't want. They're imagining it and they're feeling the fear of it actually happening. And that's our default. That's our survival brain. And what your work does is it brings us back to conscious co-creation power. So we use this amazing, powerful instrument that is our mind and our hearts and our bodies to create and attract and call in and experience the joy and the bliss and our dreams. And it's so simple, but it's so profound. That's why I love your work.
Well, it's a great conversation, because I think that a lot of people who live in survival and are living in stress, when you're in survival, it's not a time to create. It's a time to run, fight, and hide. And so if you're aroused by fear, if you're aroused by anger or aggression, if you're aroused by pain, that arousal actually produces a lowering of energy, a lowering of frequency. You feel more like matter and less like energy, more like particle, less like wave. And if you're matter trying to change matter, there's only a certain amount of things you can do. You can force it, you can control it, you can predict it, you can fight for it, you can compete for it, you can manipulate, you can suffer for it. You can do whatever you can to get what you want, to make that feeling go away. And now here's the problem. The problem really stems from a person relying on their outer environment to change, to make that feeling go away. So the person who's dependent on the external circumstance, it makes sense that when things are going well in their life, they're really happy. But when things are not going well in their life, they're unhappy. So if you're living by the stress hormones and you're preoccupied with your outer environment, you're not paying attention at all to your inner world of thoughts and feelings, and the response to your environment is literally weakening the organism, every response. And then the thought of the problems, the thought of the challenges, the thought of the circumstances in the life also drains and depletes the body's very life force. And the stronger the emotion you have to some problem or some condition in your life, the more you pay attention to it. And if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, well, you're giving your life force away to that person or problem. Then it would be really hard to close your eyes and go within unless you are willing to understand. You'd have to lay down the very thing you used your whole life to get what you want for something greater to occur. And that's turning that battleship around. Because if I said to you, Kelly, why are you upset? Oh, I'm upset because of this person or the circumstance. What you're really saying is, this person or circumstance is actually controlling the way I feel and the way I think. The only thing that controls the way we feel or the way we think, we're victims to those circumstances. So that's the unconscious program. So a person does a great meditation. This is all of us. You get locked in your heart, your brain is opened up, your mind's expanded, you're seeing that future, you're embracing it emotionally. And then you got to now practice with your eyes open. Now you got to be able to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And if you can, get ready, weird things are going to happen in your life. But if you say, God, I'm so upset, and you disconnect from the energy of your future, and your response is producing emotions and energy of the past and thoughts related to past memories, don't expect anything in your life to change. And if you said to me, well, it's that person or that circumstance, I'd say, uh-oh, we're back to the unconscious program of being a victim, that the outer world is controlling the way we think and feel. Maybe it's how we think and feel, change the way we think and feel, we produce an outcome in our outer life. So the response in the stress hormones, causing us to feel more like matter and less like energy, we're going to feel more separation. And so then the desperation of separation means now it's got to happen out there to make this go away. And so we work diligently in teaching people how to shorten their refractory period to some emotional responses, because even people that heal in our work from stage 4 cancer or immune-mediated diseases or lupus or rheumatoid arthritis or all kinds of different conditions, they figure it out. Their blood values don't change, but they're feeling a lot better. And they say, well, if I'm feeling so much better, why aren't my values changing? Oh, well, now the big game is you got to play with your eyes open. And you got to be able to self-regulate. And you got to be able to pause for a moment when you disconnect and say, valid, justified or not, I got to get back into the energy of my future. When I get energy here, this is the creative center. This is union of opposites. Wholeness begins. When you create from wholeness and game. And so people who do that and they start paying attention to all those unconscious, they start becoming more aware of how they speak and how they act. And they notice the emotions that bring them to a lower denominator. And they're so conscious that they wouldn't go unconscious in their day. And it takes a lot of times of forgetting. How many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and keep remembering? How many times do we have to go unconscious before we stop being unconscious and becoming conscious? And that's the work. And so when people are able to actually sustain it with their eyes open, they're out of the bleachers and on the playing field. They're in the game called life, and they got to navigate through that. And if they're paying a little bit more attention to their inner world and not so much attention to their outer world, and they're dialing down the hormones and the emotions, then if they don't feel the emotion, they're not going to pay attention to the problem, and they take their power back and they build their own field of energy, and that's energy to heal with. And so then you see the blood values going down, then you see the markers start to change, because now the person's actually becoming that person with their eyes open.
So Dr. Joe said that if you create from the quantum world properly, you don't have to go anywhere to get anything, because from the quantum field, there is no time-space reality. And if there's a vibrational match of your energy to what you want, and you really refine that signal, when you synchronize your energy, you start synchronizing your life. You'll get signs from the universe or the quantum field in the form of opportunities coming to you that will align you with everything that you want. Like Dr. Joe said, what's so cool about it is that it comes to you instead of you having to go after it. And when you see evidence of it working, you'll pay attention to what you did, and you'll want to do it over and over and over again. Once you figure out how to create from the quantum field, you'll see how you are actually leveraging the power of the universe. Then the host talked about how most people do the exact opposite. Most people worry about bad things that could happen to them, unwittingly not knowing that they keep on recreating that reality. Dr. Joe responded by saying that when you're in survival mode, that's not a time to create. And that's why most people stay stuck in survival mode. The problem goes back to how people wait for their outer environment to change for them to raise their frequency. But that means that they are controlled by their external conditions. When things go well in their life, they're happy, but when things don't go well, they're not. Even if you know that you're not supposed to do that, it's still hard to experience something bad and then not let it affect you. But that's the work. The work is to be happy regardless of what happens in your life and appreciate the contrast for what it is, because it helps you to get more clarity as to what you do want. And when you focus on what you want without fear, worry, or doubt, then via the law of attraction, it must come to you. The point is to not let or allow anyone or anything to control how you feel. Feel good regardless of anything and everything. The other key point is that you can't just depend upon your meditation to elevate or raise your emotion or vibration. You must do it with your eyes open too. You must raise your vibration in your awakened state. In other words, you must be happier than normal in your daily life. And this is why you must get good at self-regulation by becoming more aware of how you speak and how you act in your daily life. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Our channel's goal is to make it to at least 100,000 subscribers so that we can improve the content and offer you more things. I'd like to mention that we are offering group healing sessions now. Please check the date and time in the description below, along with how to register for it. And now, if you have any questions, please ask them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or leave a comment about what you think about this video, as long as it's a nice one. Kidding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.